Great, Diane. It's lovely to hear you. Lovely to hear you. Listen, we've got some questions, and Susie's just joining us on stage. We've got about 10 minutes or so for questions. I just wondered if there was anything significant from the presentations you've heard so far that you would like to comment on. There are definitely some key themes emerging. I just wondered what you were thinking.
I think what I've been struck by is how there is a willingness for change. I think that's a really strong theme that's come out of the presentations, and I think it's been inspiring actually to listen to all the tips around guidance or accessible design, and actually all the products that are out there that we can use in the future.
Yeah.
So these products are available, and accessible design is possible. So it's just about putting it all into action, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And Vicky made that point, Diane, about there's no shortage of guidance. There's guidance. Let's put it into action. Susie, I wonder, initial reflection from yourself. It's great to see you again. Hi there. I just wonder, in terms of what you've heard so far, I mean, you've been working on housing issues for many years, Susie. I hope you don't mind me saying that. But I just wonder, for yourself, initial reactions. No, Susie, I was just wondering if you were able to give us your initial reactions. No, don't seem to have Susie either. Vicky, welcome. Are you able to take yourself off mute?
Hello there, Charlie. Yes, I'm here.
Sorry that you got cut off at the end there.
Not at all.
No, lovely to see
part.
you. Anything for yourself immediately?
You're breaking up there, Charlie, but I think what I would like to add was just how inspiring all the presentations have been this morning, and some lovely examples of accessible, inclusive design, which just highlight the presumptions and perceptions that people have about adaptations are just simply wrong now in where we are in this process. And if people could see these designs, they choose these designs and overcome some of those cultural barriers that were mentioned this morning around adaptations and flexible housing. And just overall, all the speakers and points have just reinforced that this has to start now. It's something we've been putting off. And it was really encouraging to see the Minister's kind of commitments this morning to this. It's certainly on the radar of the Scottish Government. So if there's all this will and enthusiasm, motivation, let's get it.
Absolutely, Vicky. Absolutely, and with you 100%.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Great. I think it was really interesting to see how people were really all heading on the same trajectory in terms of inclusive design. You know, I think it's kind of interesting that we're moving away from this situation where we siloize people with a disability or people that are older and mainstream housing, and how important it is to try and bring everybody together so that we have an environment that suits everyone, you know, and not just a certain type of person. And I think you know, everybody's presentations kind of pointed in that direction, which is great as far as I'm concerned, because it's something that is very important.
Absolutely, Rowena. Tell me, just very quickly, how does it feel to walk down a street that you've designed?
It's quite strange because, you know, I work with a lot of people in the office. It's a big team of people, so I was more of the broad brush concept and visioning, and other people were more into the detail. So it's kind of interesting to see how people have interpreted the ideas. The great thing about Ganaki is the situatories, and just seeing how people have personalize those with all sorts of different patio furniture and plants. And I mean, somebody's got a barbecue, all sorts of things out there. And it's great to see people actually, you know, sort of owning the space, as it were. And, you know, as an architect, it's terribly easy to sort of want your own ideas to take precedence. But the nice thing about housing is it's the house owner or tenant's personality that you really want to come through. And I would say in Ganneke, that's definitely happening.
Ed, I want to come to you. I thought your presentation was just fantastic in terms of this is what is possible. Again, it must be a real sense of achievement when you see your designs come to life. I wonder if you have any comments.
Thank you, Charlie. Hopefully you can hear me all right. It's definitely not a rural broadband problem because I'm in central London with slightly dodgy broadband, but great to be part of today. In terms of what it's like, I'd sort of echo Rowena's comments that I have great fun attending these types of conferences, but actually it's really the team in our design studio at MotionSpot who are the ones who are executing these. But I know they have huge pride, visiting our developments as I do, and all of our team at MotionSpot are very much inspired by the positive impact we can have on the lives of our customers, as much as anything. I thought Vicky summarised this session, particularly well, and there is such a willingness at the moment across the industry to do more when it comes to accessible design and really think differently about how we can make homes more beautiful. And it's been great just to actually, I've never really done a pre-recording, but it's been quite nice to not watch myself on screen, but actually to see the comments coming through. And there's a real willingness, and there's a real kind of tide of support around we've got to do this differently. And I think that the three messages that I would sort of push is to encourage people to think differently and try and expand the knowledge as to what's possible, because there is so much more choice out there than people think. Also, for people to remove that barrier that just because it looks beautiful, it must be really expensive. That is a real myth that has unfortunately stifled innovation in our industry for too long. And, there are RSLs across the country that are embracing these types of design principles and products. So I'd encourage you all to be looking and thinking around similar. And the third one is just to take some action around it. We've been talking about this for the last 10 years, and it's great to see the industry moving, but I think it can move a lot faster, and we all have a responsibility to make that happen.
Fantastic. Thanks, Ed, and thanks for joining us from London. Rowena, I'm going to come back to you because the most popular question in this section was about the Ganneke development and were the costs significant, or could they be used across general new build housing programmes?
I think that the Ganneke development was a particular location and situation. The Ganneke Trust is right at the edge of Stirling. It has a very, very beautiful rural setting, and it's a very quiet, very green place. So we've ended up with a particular design strategy that suits that. I think other locations maybe are different. I think, for example, we've been working with City of Edinburgh Council and just recently completed a development at Green Dykes, where we've looked at how do you get inclusiveness in community but slightly differently, where in that situation we've designed housing around a courtyard with a central shared space. And I think it has a community room. Somebody from City of Edinburgh Council may correct me because I wasn't as involved in that project. But we've kind of, I think it's horses for courses, but I think it's about embedding those key principles at the start, which is, looking at ways to build in sociability, positive sociability, and then taking on board the context. So it's matching context and a contextual approach to design to the ambition for sociability and inclusion. And I think that, you maybe need a bespoke approach in terms of how you look at the site layout, depending on the situation.
Listen, thank you, everybody. That's been our second session. I'm really sorry about the technical glitches. Please bear with us as we move through. But the presentations are certainly seem to be making their mark. So thanks to all our presenters. A really inspiring session, I think. We're going to take a